सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Welcome everybody for the online classes. We are doing the subject Bhagavad Gita, as you know. Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Gita means song and Bhagavat means God. So the song of the Lord. Any words which come from a divine personality which has reached a particular state, those words need to be weighed with gold, literally. That's the power of the Bhagavad Gita, or any of these texts for that matter. Gita, if you keep on repeating it loudly, Gita, 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 it will become Tyagi, give up. So the whole life, what Bhagavad Gita teaches is to renounce, to give up. But what to give up? Like we were discussing, any fool can find Shanti in Shanti, but it takes a wise person to find Shanti in Ashanti. So there was this teacher. He used to go to people's houses and carry a sticker with him. And the sticker, it was written on the sticker, "Don't complain." So wherever he would go, he would just ask the permission of the householder and stick the sticker on the wall. That was his rule. As soon as he came for lecture series or whatever. So, and when other people said that, "Sir, let me do it. You are quite old. You don't need to stand on a stool or chair and do it." He would say, "No, no, I want to do it. I want to do it." And he would get up, old man, and then he will stick the sticker precisely at a particular angle. It will never be straight. It will be like this, So the other person will say behind, "Sir, it is not straight." And the teacher would look back and say, "Don't complain." Because the sticker is written, "Don't complain." When we use the term "don't complain," we have to be very careful in our studies. It should not lead to incompetence or lethargy. So this quotation of "any fool can find Shanti in Shanti, but it takes only a wise person to find Shanti in Ashanti" should not be misread, saying that come what may, we should be quiet but not do anything. No, we should take action. In fact, the strongest actions directly. So you are continuously enthusiastic about perfecting yourself. Externally, do what you can. Internally, you should be quiet. That is what Bhagavad Gita is. So Bhagavad Gita is tyaga, giving up, renunciation. What are you going to renunciate? There are three stages or three types of renunciation. The first type is which we call tamasic renunciation. Tamasic renunciation is, I didn't want to give this, but it happened. So a lady is going to the office in the morning. She's made all the food and everything for the children to go for lunch and all. And she's instructed the husband that see to it that they leave. And she's running towards the office. And the husband nonchalantly says that while going, just give the kachara also out. Throw the bin also out, okay? And she gets so irritated. She says, yeah, okay, I'll do. And she takes the bin in one hand, she takes her purse in one hand and walks out of the door. As soon as she leaves the building, she throws and gets out, go to the office. As soon as she reaches the office, she says, "Oh, thank God, I am early, I am not late." And she finds out that she's thrown her bag away and she's carried the bin to the office. Now that is tamasic renunciation. I didn't want to do this, but it happened. Okay. This is not a renunciation. This is by mistake. People give up because they don't know the value of it. So many divorces are conducted just on this. I don't know the value of the other person. Why? Because I have assessed the other person according to my likes and dislikes. So what I like, he or she should do accordingly. And when that like is not met, finished. Sorry, relationship is gone completely. So this is, and the beauty is 80% of the marriages, is most of the developed so-called countries, 80% of the marriages end in divorce. And then after divorcing, you are attracted to the same person again. I don't know how that happens. So, because you start seeing them with a new eye. The famous example given is in the ashram, we used to watch this movie called Taming of the Shrew, where Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor were there, and they, I think so, both of them won the Oscars for it, and it was a big success. And the whole movie is about Richard Burton taming the shrew, who is Elizabeth Taylor, into a so-called good domesticated wife at that time, that period. Okay. So, and they were so good at it that they got married. And they got married. They lived happily for I don't know how many years, maybe 1, 2. And then they divorced again. And then they married somebody else. And then they divorced that person. And then they looked at each other and said, "Are you are there available," and they get married again. 3 times, this is true story. 3 times Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor married each other. 3 times. Elizabeth Taylor, I think so, married 9 times. Richard Burton married 10 times. So we keep on changing partners after partners, any relationship for that matter, with just this account that I don't know the value of it. And when that person has left us, perhaps dead and gone, suddenly we sit and cry, if only I would have spent more time with such a such person. I was too busy working, therefore I could not maintain a particular relationship. Or these are the times where you can maintain that, you can bring that, blossom the whole relationship ever. So this is tamasic renunciation. Rajasic renunciation is giving up of any act because at present it doesn't suit me. At present it doesn't suit me. When you remove the impediments which are coming in between my action, so because of those obstacles, I have left this. Traveling is too much, this is too much, that is too much, that person is bad, this person, therefore I have left it. Fair enough. And when you remove those impediments, when you remove those obstacles, then they are ready to act again. This is Rajasic renunciation. Sattvic renunciation is not giving up at all. Sattvic renunciation is taking up something higher. So when you are taking up something higher in life, the lower automatically falls off. When I was a small boy, I used to have 2 characters in my hand. One was called Batman, one was called Superman. You know those figurines that come. And I used to play with them and I used to enjoy so much, really. Hours used to go, make them fight with each other. Ultimately, either the Spider-Man will win or somebody will win, and I'll go to sleep. I have those toys still now. Maybe next time I'll do that. So supposing I get those toys again and show it to you and say, and then the Superman came and boom, 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 he hit the Batman and Batman came and you will say there is something drastically wrong with sir. We should switch off. You may be right. There is a certain age to it. And after a bicycle comes, those toys, dollies and pollies have fallen off. I am no more interested in them. It's not that they are not there. It is still there in the house. Still there is there, some cupboard somewhere. But I'm just not interested. I'm moved out somewhere. This is called growth. Renunciation of sattvic intellect is called growth. Rajasic is what we are talking. Why we are discussing renunciation is Arjuna's problem of not fighting the war is because he is seeing the relationships as me and mine. Our people are there, my children are there, and because my children are there in this war, they may be the casualties. And if they are the casualties, what is the use of living? What is the use of living if my son is not there in my life? If my daughter is not there in my life? If my husband, what is the use of living? So that when it comes to minus, if I remove that impediment, the minus from Arjuna, he will start fighting. That's what happened. Krishna removed that. So that is the idea of Arjuna talking and talking and talking, the first chapter which we did. And Krishna is not speaking a word, because one of the most prerequisite qualities of a spiritual person, take it, is the art of listening. Can I hear or can I listen to anybody without passing a judgment on them that this is the way they are? Blankly, just listening to, let their voice come out and you listen to the voice. That's it. Krishna was doing that, biding away his time, because he knew Arjuna was not ready. Because at the end of that first chapter, which we did last time, he just put his bow and arrow down. He did not say, I don't want to fight. He did not sit down and say, I don't want to do this. He did not even surrender to Krishna. Now, in Vedanta, there is a famous quotation: knowledge is never given, it's taken. Knowledge is never given, it's taken. So when the student is there, the guru appears. The student is the one who takes the knowledge, not the teacher who gives it. This is the, now Arjuna is sitting down, bow and arrows kept there. Second chapter, Sankhya Yoga, is what we are discussing now. So what we'll be doing is, we will be doing important verses from the Bhagavad Gita, which we have selected. And in between the verses, there are other verses. Those who are interested can read through them, just skim through them, just have a read. You don't need to know the whole thing, because most of the important verses we are covering. So next is Sanjaya. Sankhya Yoga is the knowledge. Sanjaya is saying, he looks at Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is happy. Why? Arjuna is sitting, he is in no mood to fight. His plan is successful. If Arjuna can't fight, the war is over. And all the property or whatever it is belongs to Dhritarashtra, in fact, Duryodhana and party. So if the war is not happening, nothing like it. Arjuna sits down. Sanjaya says, when Arjuna was sitting like this, despondent completely, knowing not what to do, Lord Krishna, Prasanna Iva, smiling as it were, spoke. Smiling as it were is not making fun of Arjuna's despondency. Many people, when the other person is crying at whatever level, we have this attitude of not taking them seriously. A child of 8, a girl of 8, is telling her mother that, everybody in my school in 4th standard is having a boyfriend and I don't have anybody. She's crying. And the mother doesn't take it seriously. This is puppy love, small children, 14 years, 15 years, what they know about love. As if we know everything about love. So, but we don't take it seriously. So smiling as it were is not taking any problems of the other person lightly. You are listening and you are smiling within yourself because you know the solution. It is exactly like a patient going to a doctor and saying, Doctor Sahab, I got a temperature. And then he tests the temperature. It's 102. All right, gives the medicine. And then he says, throat is paining. Yes, yes, yes. A fever is coming. You feel a little nauseating and vomits. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A little bit of feeling is there. Phlegm is there. Yes, yes, phlegm is there. It's yellow now. Yes, yes. So he is the person, patient is saying, wow, what a doctor. And the doctor is smiling and writing the whole thing. Why is he smiling? This is common. I know the solution. This is exactly how Krishna's attitude is. But how to give the solution? A person who is constantly crying and saying, this happened, this happened, this happened. 98% or 99% of the people who are listening to them, they can only give one advice. Don't worry. God will make everything all right. And they are happy with that. सब भगवान ठीक कर देंगे, फिकर मत करना. And 98% people, they will not go because the intellect is not available. So they will not go further and ask, how will God do it right? What is the way God will do it? They will not ask because their surrender is complete. हाँ, भगवान ठीक कर देंगे, okay, and they'll continue with their life. That means they don't want the solution. Other people who are closer to you may not know you, of who you are. And when they don't know you, they may have an arrogance that this is just my friend, this is just my brother, this is just my husband, this is just my, whatever is the relationship. So the relationship comes before the Jnani Purush. For that, there is a slight arrogance that what this person will know. Same thing, right from childhood, Arjuna and Krishna were playing. Arjuna never knew who Krishna was. No chance. They were just friends. And Krishna was happy with it. It's a very big lesson here. A philosopher only philosophizes when the subject of philosophy is needed. They just don't talk out of the hat saying that this is Brahman, this is, they don't do that. Only when the subject, when the requirement is there, medicine is given. Otherwise, don't take the medicine. Why do you want to take the medicine when the requirement is not there? Right? So this is the attitude. Krishna is listening. So that arrogance is there in Arjuna. He did not know what Krishna was. Krishna, though knowing that knowledge is never given, it's taken. But still, he is a friend, and the friend is completely down in dumps. And I know the solution of it. Then that matritva bhavana or the mother's heart comes to the fore, whether the other person is surrendering or not. At least I will just open the door a little with my toe to give them an idea that I know what you are going through. That is the first statement where everybody says, you know, I can feel what you are feeling. I know what you're going through. That attitude. And for that attitude, being a friend right from childhood, friends don't talk about, you know, everything will become all right, God is great. Aisa hota hai sabke. They don't talk like that. They talk in a very katuvani. They will give bad words also. When they come across you, they will say, where are you, you stupid fellow, long time no see. Huh? That's the way they'll talk. And you don't even mind that because it's just a friend. This is what Krishna, the first verse, that's why we had mentioned, is the one important verse of the Bhagavad Gita is this. The first verse of chapter 2 by Krishna. So we'll just chant this once. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kutastva Kashmalamidham Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Jushtama Swargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. One of the most fascinating verses in the Bhagavad Gita. I can tell you now, if you have understood this verse properly, next class you can all go home and rest. You can discontinue the classes. No grievances. For a simple reason, you have understood what Bhagavad Gita is. It's this verse. One of the basics. The other basics are there, but to really maintain a sanity in this insane attitude of the world, this one verse is very important. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. The first thing, the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Dhritarashtra spoke. Then Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya spoke. Then Duryodhana Uvacha. Duryodhana spoke. Then Krishna Uvacha, Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna spoke. Then Krishna Uvacha is not there. It is Bhagavan Uvacha. The difference between two is when they say Krishna Uvacha, it becomes an individual talking about some higher reality. When it is said Bhagavan Uvacha, it is that reality, that supreme reality that is speaking through this instrument of Krishna to Arjuna. Therefore, each and every word when it comes as Shri Bhagavanu Vacha needs to be applied, heard properly, listen, and then transform yourself, assimilate it and transform yourself into a better personality. Bhagavanu Vacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupastitam. First line. From where has this crisis come? From where has this dejection come in a crisis like this? My dear Arjuna, my dear friend, in a rougher tone, not a smooth tone, in a rougher tone. My dear Arjuna, there is a crisis going on. There is a war going on. You are fighting for something. You are fighting for a higher perspective in life, righteousness. In this fight, in this crisis that is, you are standing right in between, from where has this dejection come? This one line you take home, you study and you contemplate on it. Why are you disturbed during this time? I am just asking everybody, did the whole 6 months go without any stress or agitation? No, sir, that is not possible. In one of the classes I was saying that, can you at least remain 3 days without stress and agitation? So the students told me, sir, 3 hours also is not, it's very difficult. 3 days to both dur ki baat hai. So last 6 months, how many of you got agitated? Everybody would raise hand. Why did you get agitated? You will give me all the reasons which agitated you, and all of you will be justified also for giving those reasons. You know, last 6 months, what happened? Corona happened. I'm not allowed to go out of the house. I'm not allowed to eat from outside. I'm not doing this. I can't do that. I can't do that. And plus everybody's coming and saying, stay home, stay home, stay home, stay home. Staying home is a virtue. It's very agitating. Every time I'm going like a Daku Mangal Singh with a mask on my face. It's very, very agitating. What else? Husband. Previously, when husband was going to office, everything was so nice. Morning, we would lovingly part saying that go, go, go. Night, he will come and he will tell about what happened in the office. I'll tell about what happened at home. What were the children were also in the school. It was so nice. Now, sir, full day, children are at home. Both the angels are running around. Somebody is plucking my hair. Somebody is, removing my clothes and laptop, and everything is a mess. Whole day I am cleaning. Whole day I am cooking, and that fellow is also at home. He can't go to office because everything is stopped. So whole day, nothing else. I am working. I don't know what to do. The only time we are sitting quietly is when we are watching TV. Otherwise, whole day we are working. Acha. So your husband is agitating you. Yes, sir. Your wife is agitating you. If only you were married to her, you would know what a Rakshasi, what a beautiful lady she is. She is the cause of my agitation. He is the cause of my agitation. Fan is not running, that is my agitation. Mobile phone is not moving on, that is my agitation. The Zoom application is not working, that is my agitation. Everything in world is my agitation, leading to my agitation. Therefore, I am agitated, sir. Otherwise, I have no problems at all. I have no problems at all. If that cause is removed from my life, I am very happy. Really? If you remove that cause, still you will not be happy. There was a person, a very famous example, he knew a teacher. He had a house in Switzerland. He had a house in Switzerland. He found that country, Switzerland, unlivable. So he left that and bought a beautiful bungalow on top of a hill in Sri Lanka. It's a true story. In Sri Lanka. And he lived there for 2 to 3 years. Then he found Sri Lanka also disgusting. And after X amount of years, he took whole baggage and he shifted back to Switzerland. Sir, I am going to the United States of America. Congratulations. Excellent. I'll be very happy. What infrastructure? What roads? What this? What that? Water on the tap? This? Everything. Excellent. And after 3 months, the same person calls me. And I ask, how are you doing? You're all right. Arey, sir, what to say? You know, started. Wherever you go, whoever you contact, whoever you get married, however much you have, children or no children, the cause remains the same. And that is this. My mind. It is my mind. I carry the same junk to every country I go. And I create junk also. There also. If I am not happy here, I will not be happy anywhere else. So that is the cause of my stress. Traffic is the cause of my stress. Pollution is the cause of my stress. This thing not happening is the cause of everything around is your cause of stress. And the first line the Lord says, Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupa. From where has this dejection come in a crisis? Beautifully underlines and indicates one important point in everybody's life. This is where the Grantha starts. The starting point is there is no connection between what is happening outside and my inner state of mind. Again, there is no connection between whatever is happening outside and my inner state of mind. I am agitated not because of external situations and circumstances. I am agitated because that's the kind of mind I have. There is no connection. But we are champions in finding connection. Right from childhood we do that. One boy was there sitting near the window in the 5th floor looking at the area outside scenery, and he saw this huge tree opposite his house and it was swinging madly here and there. Huge wind. And the boy is saying, the mama is working in the kitchen. The mama, look, the tree is swaying so hardly. It doesn't know how to talk properly. So hardly the tree is swinging. So the mother is working in the kitchen. She says, yeah, I know. It doesn't matter. And in 2 minutes, he sees a downpour, rain, thunderstorm. Mama, it's raining. Look at the rain, such big drops. And the mother says, yeah, I can see, I know. Now, mama, I know how the rain falls. When the tree shakes, the rain falls. And the mother says, this is tree shakes, a true fact. Rain falls, a true fact. But where is the connection? We connect it. We are exactly like these children. If I keep this photograph in my house, somebody came to our house and there was a Bhagavad Gita photograph, where Arjuna is ready to fight and Krishna is talking something, the big photograph. So somebody said, don't keep this photograph in the house, sir. I said, why? Because there are fights everywhere. Wherever you keep this photograph, in that house there are fights. And then that lady said, so what does your Vedanta say about it? I said, Vedanta doesn't have anything, no opinions at all. No, but what do you have an opinion? Go to 10 houses where there are no photographs and see if the fights are there or not. Then that lady said, but fights are everywhere. Then why are you blaming photographs? We are doing everything. Amulets, arms, I don't know what all we are into, to collect things in the house that if I keep this, I will be more happier. It's amazing, isn't it? The nature, the Lord has provided the best equipment you have here to become and to remain happy constantly, irrespective of what is happening in the world. We put that into shelf, we put that in a compartment, and we look out for other purposes that if I do this puja, I will be happy. If I keep this, I will be happy. If I do that, I will be happy. And there are people teaching you that also. If you do this, there will be happiness. But why? खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तदबीर से पहले खुदा खुद अपने बंदे से पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. This is Hindi for those who don't know. Make yourself so strong, बुलंद इतना कि हर तदबीर से पहले, before any work is, any endeavor is taken up, खुदा खुद अपने बंदे से पूछे. That Lord, that divinity should come and ask you, boss, what do you want? You have started working, what do you want? And you look to that personality, that divinity, and say, who are you to give me anything, boss? I don't need anything. You have given me 2 hands, I will work. You have given me this personality, I will do it. You don't need to do anything. You have done enough. Take care of other people. That attitude. There is no happiness to such a person depending on objects and world around you. Therefore, there is no connection. If I wear my left pad first and the right pad first, I will score a century. World Cup, Football World Cup is decided by octopus and a seal and a turtle. Paul the octopus, I still remember the name. He used to decide. They would keep Germany's design and maybe Argentina's design on 2 food stuff which the octopus eats. Wherever the octopus goes first, that country will win. It happened once, they won. Second time it did not happen, they ate the octopus. This is the way we are living. One cat crosses the street, I stay at home, afraid. My God, what is going to happen? My God, what is going to happen? From a civilized society, we have become a frightened society. Because every time somebody, people like us or people outside, have taught you this one thing, is there is a connection between what is happening outside and inside. There is no connection at all. I have given this example of Shawshank Redemption before, where he goes into solitary confinement, where he plays that opera music, and he just says there is a place inside where the world cannot come. Nobody in the world can disturb you. They can only disturb you when you want to get disturbed. I am never disturbed in life because I have not yet given a permission to the world to disturb me. Therefore, I am always happy. When the problem comes in the world, I seek solution. I don't sit and cry about why certain things happened. Never cry on why something happened. Cry Why couldn't I think about this solution before? You cry for that, so that the mind is ready with the next challenge. Let whatever come, now I know what to do. This attitude was beautifully reflected. One of my all-time favorite books. Please read it if you have it with you. The book is called Fountainhead. It's a nice book. There, this person called Howard Roark is a person who does everything originally. He's an architect and he originally wants to construct everything. So the first scene itself is he sees these huge mountains of stone, and he sees asphalt, stones and steel, and he visualizes how he can make buildings out of it. In the modern, he doesn't want to copy anybody. And he's doing his work. Simultaneously, there are these other copycats. You know who copycats are? Copycats are when somebody is trying to do something original, they will sit with a pen and paper or a mobile phone. They'll record everything and use the same content as if they are saying it. They are saying it. They will not even give the credit to the person who said it. That's copycat. So there's this character. All the characters are there which are copycats other than Howard Roark. The main character who is a copycat is called Ellsworth Toohey. And his job is to destroy anybody who is an original thinker. If you interpret the Bhagavad Gita in a new way, a whole society will come and say, you should not do this. You should be very careful and interpret it the same way as the teachers in the past did. Because nobody wants anybody thinking originally. Thinking is very dangerous. As soon as a wife starts thinking about how my relationship is danger for the husband, or vice versa. Therefore, nobody wants the other person to think. You just hypnotize yourself with all the television programs, all the aspects which keeps the mind busy. But please, 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 all the politicians want this. All the aspect, great leaders of the world want this. You stop thinking. Because once you start thinking, you are a very dangerous person. Howard Roark was that, the thinking type. So Ellsworth Toohey wanted to destroy this guy. No originality should survive. Only copycats should be there, because when copycats are there, then I can rule. One copycat can rule over the other copycat. The civilization is destroyed. Nothing, all the political wills will go, because everybody will follow only what we call the herd instinct. This attitude was there in Ellsworth Toohey. So one person came to Ellsworth Toohey and said, I want to make a temple. And deliberately Ellsworth Toohey gives Howard Roark's name. He has his own newspaper. So he gives the name, saying that that guy is really good. As soon as you go, he will tell, I am not interested in God. But you say, okay, doesn't matter. You build a building according to the concept, what you understand of God. So he goes to Howard Roark and says the same thing. I want to build a temple. He said, Howard Roark says, see, listen, I don't believe in God. And he says, doesn't matter. Whatever you believe, you build that. And he builds it. And when he builds it after 2 years, and this man goes out, he gives the money and goes out. That's gentleman. Ellsworth Toohey, when the building is made, he trashes it in his newspaper. It is the worst building ever, ridiculous, and all those designs are very, very bad. So that Howard Roark is destroyed. Now that Seth comes, Seth means the gentleman comes, and he files a case against Howard Roark for misusing his money. And Howard Roark has no defense. He's just standing there. Everybody says he's done this wrong, he stole the money and all. And the judge is asking Howard Roark, how are you going to defend yourself? He says, yes, I have my defense. And he gives an envelope and gives it to the judge. There is the building of the temple, what he made. So somebody comes outside and says, why did you not argue that this is what he wanted? Howard Roark says, I have only my work to show. If I can't even show my work and they can't appreciate my work, I don't have anything else to show. It is asked to be demolished, the building. One night before demolition, on the streets, on the marketplace, Howard Rock is standing there. There is a railing there. He's holding the railing and he's looking at his building. There is a guy comes by the side and he says, "It's a beautiful structure, isn't it?" Howard Rock says, "Yes, it is. By the way, I'm Ellsworth Toohey." He looks at him and says, "Hmm." And he continues looking. He says, "I am the one who wrote a very scathing article about this. Therefore, all this problem and this is getting demolished. And I'll see to it that you will never get any architectural work in your life." He's just continuing. Ellsworth Toohey says, "What do you think of me? If you want to get angry, shout at me. What do you think of me?" One of the most beautiful dialogues I ever heard in my life, other than the Bhagavad Gita, naturally. One of the most beautiful dialogue. Howard Rock looks at Ellsworth Toohey and says, "I don't think of you." That's it. Even thinking about somebody, it is wasting my mental energy. Why am I wasting my mental energy on thinking about somebody? The other person is not thinking. That is why when you are in martial arts or when you are in boxing, if you take a training in boxing, what is the first lesson the instructor teaches you? Many people say defend. No, not defend, ducking. When the other person is punching, if you see, they just show you how to move accordingly. So when you are moving, you save your energy. Even this blocking is using your energy. So when the world throws punches at you, if you have learned the art of ducking, moving along here and there, it stings like a butterfly, floats like a butterfly, and stings like a bee. Muhammad Ali. That attitude, and when they hit, you need to hit, you hit, it's okay. But your energy is conserved. Such a person like Howard Rock never gets agitated till then, because they understand this one important concept. There is no connection between what is happening outside and what is happening inside. Something wrong there, I will see the problem and I'll find the solution. If I can't find somebody, if I can't find the solution, I'll ask somebody else to find. But I will not sit and cry. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupastitam anarya justama swargyam. If you are an Aryan means the proper thinking human being, then what you'll do? You will always function as perfection. Every act you do, try to be perfect in whatever you're doing. If imperfections creep in, doesn't matter. Keep on correcting yourself. Don't be lethargic. There should not be complacency. I will keep on bettering myself at every level. Anarya Jushtabaswa. If you function like this, then you are a human being. Otherwise, you are living an animal. And such a person who is getting affected right, left, and center by whatever is happening outside, he is asking, telling Arjuna, "Na swargyam, you will not get heaven." Heaven means in the future, you will not achieve anything, neither fame. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupastitam anarya justama swargyam akirti. You will not get kirti also. You will not get famous now because you are not fighting or you are not doing your job. You will not even be happier afterwards. Heaven and hell, we will explain this eventually. They are not geographical places. They are the state of my mind. When I am happy from within, I am in heaven. When I am unhappy from within, even with all the amenities and facilities around me to make me so-called happy, I am still miserable. I am in hell. Both are state of one's mind. One of the most important verses of the Bhagavad Gita, remember the line, there is no connection between whatever is happening outside and my inner state, peace of mind. We'll continue next time. Thank you. Om. Om.